Hey guys, before we get into this episode, just wanted to say that we'll be covering themes of suicide, and if you or any of your friends are feeling down, to reach out to whatever your country's helpline is. Enjoy the show. Hey Caleb.
Yeah.
Knock knock.
Who's there, man?
Elmyr de Hory.
Well, come in.
Which is not how you pronounce that at all.
No.
But he's a Hungarian man. That's the Hungarian pronunciation. Elmyr is
Can
correct.
you spell it? So Elmyr will be A-L-M-I-R.
E-L-M-Y-R. Elmyr. And then D-E. That's an easy one for you.
Sure.
And then H-O-R-Y. But it's not Hory. It's like Hooray, I think, or something like that.
Okay, well, let's just refer to him as the grifter.
He's Elmyr.
Elmyr, sure.
He was born Elmyr.
They always change their names, man.
Yeah, Albert Hoffman.
Hoffman's easier to... Well, I guess that's not what
It's not as fancy. It's not as fancy, though. He was born on April 14th, 1906. So
old times.
Another old one for you.
I wonder if he's dead.
He was born into a lower middle-class Hungarian family that lived in Budapest, although he claimed that he was born into an aristocratic family.
What was the state of Hungary in that year?
Well, I don't know.
Like it'll be like Austria-Hungary?
He said that his father was an Austro-Hungarian ambassador.
So yeah, Austria-Hungary.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that his mother came from a family of bankers, which none of that's true.
Well, in a couple of years, they've got a hard time coming.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do. He began formal art training at the age of 16, where he focused on figurative art.
I don't know what would that...
Figurative art is art that's meant to represent a thing that's like...
Is that not
real.
all art?
No.
So it has to be representative of something.
Yeah, it's like if I painted you, it would be like a figurative art would be like a fairly accurate portrait of you that like the proportions are right.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And then he went to art school in Munich and then Paris. By the time he concluded...
Wait, hold on. Did he get kicked out of art school?
No,
I think I know this story. I think I know this guy.
He didn't get kicked out of art school, but someone was about to be, and his luck was about to change. He concluded his traditional education in Paris in 1928.
Okay.
Which unfortunately was around the time that figurative art was just replaced by Cubism and Expressionism, and no one really gave a fuck about figurative art at all anymore.
Okay. Gosh.
It was all the Picassos and the, And then the Great Depression happened.
Oh, no.
Which made it impossible for him to make a living with his art.
Doing silly artwork. Yeah,
No.
people need beans. And
During this period in his life, before the grifters begun, he was convicted 10 times in 5 European cities for crimes including check fraud, counterfeiting documents, and falsely claiming an aristocratic title, which is like...
Yeah. Yeah,
who cares, though?
What do you mean, who cares?
Well, because he's not claiming like an actual family. He's just like,
he doesn't
I'm
have
like
the piece of paper that says that he's got a
Silver
square
blood.
meter thing in Scotland that he's paid for.
That he's a lord, yeah.
Then he's not a lord as far as I'm concerned.
And then
Yes.
a little someone was kicked out of art school. He returned to Hungary during the Second World War, where he ended up in a Transylvanian prison for his involvement with a suspected British spy.
It's a movie plot right there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He was released about a year later, but ended up in a German concentration camp for being Jewish and gay. However,
The two big no-nos.
this story has never been confirmed, and his only surviving relative suggests that he was probably in Spain. But who knows? That happened all the time. They're like, there's no record of him being in a concentration camp. It's like, well, yeah, like, what are we complaining about the Nazis bookkeeping now? Like, no, he lied all the time about everything, so maybe he wasn't. But I'm not going to come out and say that he definitely lied about being in a concentration camp. How he got out of the concentration camp, I am calling him a liar, though. So he's in the concentration camp. He was then allegedly transferred to a Berlin hospital due to injuries sustained by a beating that he got in the concentration camp.
God, you've literally gone straight into like beating up Jewish people in concentration camps.
But he
without
escaped.
a shred of a warning. You've
What do
rocked
you
in
mean?
here.
You need a content warning for World War II?
No, I just like this is supposed to be like a lighthearted like entertainment show, and you've started describing how
these guys
Nazi soldiers are beating up them in concentration camps. It's just not the tone we're trying to set.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to yours then.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
And then he just escaped, apparently.
From the hospital.
Yeah, apparently he just escaped and returned to Hungary.
Good.
Then, 1946, a woman came to visit his home, where she saw a Picasso he had hanging up on the wall, and she brought it off of him. But the only trouble was, It was not
Not
a Picasso.
okay. So
It was a drawing he'd done in the style of Picasso as a bit of a meme. He then realized that he had a real talent for painting art that looked really identical to other artists, and that's where our grift begins.
how hard is that to do? Because
Yeah,
tracing
I don't know.
exists, right?
No, he wasn't copying actual finished artworks.
He was
He was
proposing
making
new
ones and suggesting that they were painted by these people because the brush strokes were in that style and the proportions and all of that.
Yeah, I don't really know enough about art to know how difficult it is to just
It's
perfectly emulate something that you're looking at.
it's been alleged by a lot of people that most art in art museums are not the legitimate version of that art piece.
Do you subscribe to that theory?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know how hard it is to
Yeah, you'd have to learn to be a painter to really know, I think.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. He was trained in such traditional,
Figurative.
he's very skilled at the construction of doing a painting that
Okay, so
where he's described as when he paints, his paint strokes are very strong and bold, whereas one of the people who was copying had a more hesitant brush, and so he would it was that he was so fucking good at it, dude, fucking good at it.
So he started painting a whole bunch of Picasso paintings and selling them for lots of money, right?
What he would do is he would claim to be the sole heir of an aristocratic family that had lost everything during
he's
the
back
war,
on that.
save for a few paintings.
Oh.
So he's I was part of an aristocratic family. World War II happened. My parents died in the Holocaust. Not true. They were alive. And the only thing I have left are these Picassos. And I guess I have to sell them to you for real cheap because I need to eat and stuff. And oh my God, I feel so I can't believe I'm doing this to my family and this is the end of my,
His lineage.
my lineage.
Yeah.
But I want you to take these priceless paintings. So we sold them to art collectors and galleries.
People buying up art. I guess if the war's just
World War
ended,
II,
people would
big
be
boom, baby.
big boom and
Big boom, baby.
I got some spare cash for a shit painting.
Yeah.
Or I guess a really good painting actually.
Well, yeah. I guess it depends on how you feel about expressionism, I guess.
Well, yeah, there'll be a whole bunch of people listening going, "Oh, fucking selling art in the first place is the ultimate grift.
Yeah.
I can put a toilet upside down as well."
And I'd like to point those people to our Patreon. Apparently, he reckons he never signed them as that painter.
Right, but they were definitely under the impression.
But
that
they were
Picasso
told that they were
painting.
buying a Picasso, right? He did this first in Paris, or Paris. Then he moved to New York in 1947, where he started up the grift again. He used a whole bunch of pseudonyms. He used Louis Cassel, Joseph Dory, Joseph Dory Bouton.
What's the voice that why is it French?
Well, it's meant to be Hungarian, which sounds really French.
Does it?
Pull it up. Elmyr Herzog, Elmyr Hoffman, which is just his real name.
Yeah.
But he's spelt differently.
But said Hoffman?
Hoffman
Yeah.
and E. Renau.
Okay.
In 1955, he sold several forgeries to Chicago art dealer Joseph W. Faulkner, who later discovered they were fakes. And that he didn't like that.
How did he discover they were fakes? Just by
I
giving
don't
him a
know.
good geese?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he gave him a good geese. He tried to sue him and tried to press charges against him, but Elmyr just fled to Mexico City, where he was questioned by the police, not for his forgeries, but in connection to a suspect in the murder of a British man, who Elmyr claimed to have never
bad
met.
luck, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Jeez.
Elmyr knows someone that is a suspect in a murder case in Mexico City.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you're fleeing to Mexico City, you probably have...
You've got other shit going on.
Yeah.
The Mexican police tried to extort money from him.
Well, they're quite notorious for that, aren't they?
So Elmyr hired a lawyer, and then the lawyer tried to extort money from him.
Oh, no.
So Elmyr just painted the painting. Was like, oh look, you can have this.
It's like the grift wars out there.
Yeah, I know. And then on his return, he discovered that his paintings were reselling for far more than what he sold them for. So he's selling them to these art collectors. Think they're ripping someone off that has a genuine Picasso by underbidding them, but then the Picasso is fake. But then now Elmyr's so deep in the sauce that he's mad about the fact that he's getting
less money
than he should. It's estimated that cumulatively his fakes have sold for more than $50 million.
Here's the thing, man.
Value.
Here's the thing. Imagine you are him.
Yeah.
And if all these paintings aren't like copies of existing Picassos and they're originals by him, just with Picasso's name on them,
yeah,
and they're selling like this.
Well, allegedly not Picasso's name on them.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But I think very heavily implied.
And they're selling like this.
Yeah.
You must feel at that point that you just are as good as Picasso.
Well, he was. That's his thing. His stance was like, look, like, and the argument is the value of an artist the artwork they make or the style and the inventiveness of what they do? If it's just like how technically good they are at painting, he was as good as any of them, and the fact that his Picassos were like indistinguishable to experts, he just was as good a painter as Picasso. And then when asked about like if he felt guilty, I believe he said, "I don't feel bad for them. I feel good for me."
You know, I'm all about that because, like, honestly, if anything,
yeah, Picasso is doing all right.
Well, and also, if anything, from like an art perspective, all you're doing is like creating more meaning in this like process. But like it's a stunt that works as well. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. I mean, and I don't really have that much sympathy for art dealers who are tax laundering money around in paintings. Like, boo-hoo, they got ripped off. You know,
absolutely, and that's sort of why the public opinion of this guy isn't that bad.
Yeah, he's
because people love to see rich people get fucked. Well, he's the only grifter I've researched that, as far as I can tell, didn't rape anybody.
Yes, that's a good start.
So it's a good start. So yeah, he came back, saw that they were selling all of his paintings for way more than he sold them for, and then they had somehow found a way to like, because during this period in time, they were inventing a lot of shit to figure out if paintings were like forgery or not.
Oh, okay.
Because like when he started, he started off on paper, because he wanted to get the right type of paper. And then that's all they needed. It looks like it was painted by Picasso or drawn by Picasso with ink. And it's the same type of paper that he uses and would use. Easy. Mm-hmm. When it comes to faking a painting, you can't just buy a fucking canvas, because they'll just do like a test on the canvas about you. This is like a year-old canvas. So.
Right.
So we'd go into flea markets and get other paintings, scrape all the paint off of them, paint them, and then like cover them in a varnish that would like age them. And that was like undetectable.
That's the thing though, right? Is that
until this point.
I always think to myself though, like, they have these like perfect bulletproof forgeries, but were there not like prototypes that sucked? Like they went from like...
Well, no, because he did it by accident. Because he was just like painting. He was like, I'll paint a Picasso, I guess. And he just put it up in his own home.
But so was he scraping canvases clean?
No, he did it on paper. I think the first one he sold probably wasn't that good a fake in terms of like the paper and all that shit. It just looked like it was a Picasso. Because he wasn't trying to peel it off at that point. He just had like...
I think any reasonable person in his situation would have done the exact same thing as him.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you have to remember that he was doing like a whole bunch of fraud before this, and possibly lying about being in a concentration camp.
Yeah, not all that stuff.
But who knows?
If someone walked into my room and pointed at a picture that I'd drawn and gone, holy shit, I didn't know Vincent van Gogh, sold you a painting.
Yeah,
I would immediately run with it and hope to emulate Vincent van Gogh for all time.
But yeah, so they invented all these things to be able to detect paintings that like the technology was catching up to him. And he was now a person of interest to the FBI and Interpol. So he was like, fuck it. Like this, it's too hot.
The jig's up.
So he went back to trying to sell his own work and just couldn't do it. He gave up on that. He was like, fuck it. So he teamed up with two art dealers, Ferdinand Legros and a guy named Real Lizard.
Is he a real lizard?
I don't know. It's spelled real as that word and then like Lizard.
Okay.
Who stepped up the operation by doing stuff like copying stamps and like forging documents of authenticity. Like, because you have the painting and then you have like all of the shit that goes with it to prove that it's real. And they were in charge of faking all of that shit.
Right.
Then they all moved to Ibiza. Where Elmyr was put on a flat salary to make the paintings. So he's in some little island in Spain, painting it up. They deal with the rest of it.
Sweet gig.
This arrangement lasted for quite a while before coming to an end in 1966 when Ragos sold over 50 forgeries to Texas oil millionaire Elmyr Meadows. And I promise you these names are all real. Who discovered the fraud and exposed Elmyr as the artist behind the works. In 1968, a Spanish court convicted him of the crimes of homosexuality.
Oh no.
Showing no visible means of support.
We've got
consorting with criminals.
We've got like a real trend of like homophobia.
Well, I think it's just when you do a story that takes place even 5 years ago. But I'm gonna read you out those things you got sent to prison for again. Crimes of homosexuality, showing no visible means of support. Does that just not having a job? Because I guess they're like, well, where's the money coming from? It has to be coming. If you've got no legitimate paper trail to where your like money is coming from.
That's a weird way to frame that.
It's
crime.
a really weird way to frame it. So it's like, he basically got sent to prison for being gay and not having a job.
Yeah. Well, it was the Spanish 60s. Not a cool place, I guess.
Well, Ibiza?
Oh. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know anything about.
I don't know anything about it either. But I think what actually got him, I think those two were just like them trying to put him away for as long as they could. And the one they actually got him with is consorting with criminals. They couldn't actually charge him with art forgery because they couldn't prove that he like did any of the paintings in Spain.
Could they prove he was gay?
Yeah, I don't know how they could prove he was gay. I think back then it was like that they were just like, he's gay.
Right.
People were in prison for being gay all the time.
Your Honor, my gaydar is
Pinging.
tingling.
Yeah. Imagine like a sting operation. Like how do they prove that?
I think one other person says this guy's gay. And they go, all right, fair enough.
But he was released in October 1968 and expelled from Ibiza for 1 year.
Was that the crime you get? Like, it's like the Night's Watch.
Yeah, but he came back. He became somewhat famous and had a book written about him. I didn't read the book because the author's next biography was so inaccurate that they imprisoned him for a year. So I just thought I'd skip that one.
God.
And maybe we'll talk about him later because it is actually pretty interesting.
If you've ever written a book so bad.
They send you to prison?
Jeez.
He tried to exploit his newfound fame to sell his own original work, but soon learned that French authorities were attempting to extradite him to stand trial on fraud charges. This took quite some time as Spain and France had no extradition treaty at the time. So it's like a bit of a Edward Snowden type situation.
I don't understand.
Where he's just in Russia. There's no like American
there's
Russia.
no like actual...
Yeah.
Right.
There's no precedent to like extradite. Like if you're an American criminal in New Zealand, like say Kim.com, we just fucking give them up instantly to America because we've got
so
like
what
an
you're
extradition
saying
thing.
is the French are unwilling to enforce like the international political power to take him from whatever country he's
Spain,
in and arrest him.
yeah.
Interesting. Uncharacteristic.
Uncharacteristic, yeah. Then on December 11th, 1976, Elmyr's bodyguard informed him that the Spanish government had agreed to extradite him to France. And then that night, the bodyguard discovered that Elmyr had attempted to overdose on sleeping pills and rush him to the hospital.
Whoa. You've got the beating up in the Holocaust camp. You've got the trying to overdose on...
Well, I say trying to overdose on sleeping pills. He died in his arms on the way to the hospital.
So you've got some fucking suicide going on in yours, man.
Yeah. These grifters are not like happy people. Elmyr's legacy.
Is that the end of the story?
We've got a little epilogue for you.
He was like being held in someone's arms.
As he died, overdosed. His bodyguard was like one of his best friends and his like mentee.
Man.
What's the opposite of mentor? Prodigy.
Sure, pupil.
Pupil's the one.
Like it's always so dramatic with these people.
Well, yeah, it's like his life is a stage.
Yeah.
It's theatrical.
I mean, that's sad.
Yeah.
He was presumably gonna, top himself because they arrested him.
I couldn't find out like what exactly the charges were going to be.
Well, probably like art fraud, right? Something like that.
Yeah, but for how long he was going to be in prison for that he'd rather kill himself. He was quite an old man when he did it.
He's like the friendliest grifter of all the grifters we've had so far.
Yeah.
And he's met such a tragic, sad fate.
Yeah, I know. Well, in a bit of a Van Gogh type situation. Mm-hmm. Because his career in forgery was so prolific and famous, his work was now worth money, right?
Yeah.
And his fakes are worth money. Like having an Elmyr Picasso is like worth not as much as a Picasso, but it's a thing in of itself.
Well, totally, yeah.
Which has led to people faking Elmyr's Picassos, which is, I think, a pretty
the only thing
funny
worse
grift.
than a grifter is
A
the
copycat
little grifter
Yeah.
rats who come and scavenge on the little grifter crumbs.
Absolutely.
We're never going to feature any of those parasites that see somebody's grift and just think, well, if it worked for them, it's going to work for me.
I mean, art forgers have like existed before this guy, but he is probably the most famous and prolific out of all of them.
Well, did we want to... There's no end to the... He's been killed.
Yeah.
He's been killed.
The art world is a sham.
Heaps of people, trying to get on this guy's success. He would have known before he'd done it that this will happen. Like, it's like
that he would become famous. Probably.
It's common knowledge that like artists get more recognized after their deaths and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like his whole life he was battling with wanting to be recognized on his own merits. Like, he tried to go straight so many times and just could not make a living for himself. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I should go then. So, Joel,
mm-hmm.
You ever seen the movie King of Kong?
I have seen the movie King of Kong, yes.
Directed by Peter Jackson.
I don't even know if I have seen that one.
Have you seen any King Kong movies?
I might have seen the OG, because it's not that long, right?
The one with Jack Black in it?
No, the OG, the original one.
What do you mean the original one?
The King Kong movie.
Oh, with the...
Did you think that the Peter Jackson one was the first King Kong movie?
No, I didn't, but
So when I say the original one, why would I possibly be referring to the Jack Black one?
Why? Because I guess they're the only ones in my timeline. Like, I'm thinking of the...
No, but you can watch movies that with me.
No, I know.
I'd love to see the original King Kong black and white 4x3 and Jack Black's like, skadoosh!
He wasn't skadooshing in that movie, and people don't take him seriously as a serious actor.
Right.
Just because of all the times he goes, skadoosh in other movies. Okay, so The King of Kong is a documentary about Billy Mitchell, who's going to be the main grifter. This episode is probably going to be called Elmyr versus Billy Mitchell and Friends.
Sure.
Because Billy's got a couple of friends who are a bit naughty.
Right.
The main ones we're going to be focusing on today are Billy Mitchell, Walter Day, and Todd Rogers.
Your names are so much like easier and simple than mine.
Well, that's just a racist thing to say.
I don't think that's true.
What's simple? It's just like it's more English.
This guy's name was Regular Lizard or Real Lizard.
But that's your. I'll take your word for
it's
it.
real.
A real
lizard.
lizard. Yeah. Real lizard. All right. Well, you've got Todd Rogers, you've got Billy Mitchell, and you've got Walter Day. So Billy Mitchell is the main person that everyone might actually recognize. He's the long-haired, bearded guy who always wears quite a bright tie with like an American flag on it and a suit that's always just a little bit too big for him. He famously, in 1982, broke the world record for Donkey Kong with something like 800,700 points. Something like that. In 1999, he achieved the world's first Pac-Man perfect score run. Because of that, Namco awarded him with Video Gamer of the Century.
Video Gamer of the Century?
The Video Game of the Century award. And there's a picture of the president of Namco handing a plaque to Billy Mitchell, and he's surrounded by, like, babes.
Babes?
Yeah, because it's like this big, like, you know how, like, back in the 80s and 90s, like, video game companies hadn't quite figured out the aesthetic yet. It's not like E3 where everything's all polished or whatever. They're like, is it supposed to be like a big fancy ballroom event? Like, is it supposed to...
with hot babes.
It had like a bit of a Las Vegas kind of like...
definitely. I know exactly what you're talking
vibe to it. So, so anyway, he gets his plaque. Everything's going great for Billy Mitchell. In 2004, he beats his world record for Donkey Kong again. Him and Steve Wiebe are sort of fighting backwards and forwards for the title. Mm-hmm. But in 2004, he gets his over 1 million score that he sends a tape in to be refereed to be...
And that tape was fucked, right?
Well, I don't know. I should know. We should be very careful what we say about that tape from now on.
Has that never been proven? I thought
it has been
frame by frame, and it's impossible for it to be real.
Well, yeah, people have said that and are right, and are being suppressed, and I don't want to put us in harm's way. Billy Mitchell's an angry man.
Oh my god!
So,
well, here's the thing: Billy Mitchell's angry, and I'm a thirsty little slut to get famous.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's not actually liable for me to say Billy Mitchell was a cunt.
No.
Because Billy Mitchell's actually a cunt legally.
Really?
He's objectively been being determined amongst any group of reasonable jury is a cunt.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
No. Oh. But by the end of me saying this, you might agree with that.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk a little bit about gaming world records and how they work. Because we sort of have like a speedrunning community that like does all this kind of stuff now.
Well, you have one. We don't.
I don't know why I use the word we, to be honest. I felt real grimy doing that.
It's just you and Dream.
No. Oh, God. Yeah. So we basically want to talk about the fact that, like, how do you verify a world record for a video game that you play like Donkey Kong?
Someone watches you.
Yeah, so you either have a referee to watch you play the game.
Screen record.
Yeah, you at the time there wasn't really screen record technology, so what
Point
you
a camera,
would do is send a videotape of you playing the game in for it to be reviewed.
Yeah.
Now, the tape that Billy Mitchell sent, so he did not get refereed in person, but there were witnesses, and one of those witnesses was Todd Rogers. Todd Rogers held the Guinness World Record for the longest standing video game world record ever.
So, like, from breaking the record to someone breaking it again, he had the longest.
No one had broken it by the point that he was still at. No one's broken it to this day. And it later got found out that he was also cheating.
Right.
It got
What game?
Dragster.
What the fuck is that?
I don't really know. I know I've seen so much footage of this fucking guy playing Dragster, but I don't really know how the game works.
It's an arcade game.
A really shit old driving racing game.
Sure.
And you're trying to achieve the best time.
Yeah.
The time that he submitted was 5.51, and it was later determined through maths and science that is an impossible score to achieve in the game's code. You got to understand that back in the day, the game's code wasn't very long, especially for a game as simple as Dragster.
So to go through it and
to examine it and like be able to determine what a perfect score would be is not that difficult to do.
And what was the perfect score, if you can?
I think it was 5.57 is the lowest you can possibly achieve.
So it's like there's no plausible
way.
Right.
$10,000 worth of tests were conducted.
Really? What was the prize money?
There was no prize money.
Right.
I'll tell you why this happened. Sorry. So have you heard of Twin Galaxies?
No.
Twin Galaxies are a website that keep world...
Oh, no, I have actually.
Yeah, they just keep scores.
Yeah.
For like Donkey Kong and stuff.
Isn't that where your Dark Souls run is?
No.
No?
No.
No.
And yeah, so they keep scores on Twin Galaxies. And Twin Galaxies featured Todd Rogers' score. And then when it came out that his score was false, they didn't want to remove the score without giving him a chance to defend himself, right?
Right.
So what they did is they had a guy build like a program in front of him where he could input any series of inputs he wanted to into the game at any point in a spreadsheet to achieve any outcome that he wanted. And there's footage of him and this guy just sitting there really awkwardly as he goes, this is, well, it's not the same as playing the game. Not that he's ever been able to recreate it playing the game.
Well, yeah, what's the... I don't understand.
So they've created a spreadsheet
That just is the game.
that is the game with every possible input and every possible output from that each input.
But why not just play the... What's the advantage to that?
There's no reflexes or timing because the game isn't playing.
Right. I
So
understand.
you can
I understand that.
manually insert all of
So
your
they're
inputs.
like, this is best case fucking
Exactly.
scenario.
And the amount of time or whatever, this is the maximum.
You can take
score.
10 hours to like
Yes.
do your like equation.
He had as long as he wanted. With
and
this
it's
computer.
impossible to... And it was just impossible.
It was just he couldn't do it.
Right.
But he maintains the lie that like he just did, and if you were
Yeah.
there,
You
you would have
know.
seen it. My theory is that there were two other people who claimed to have 5.51 scores,
Right.
and Todd Rogers and Twin Galaxies just pretend they don't exist. And that's when we start getting into the Twin Galaxies being like a weird, shady company.
Right.
Because Twin Galaxies consistently have removed or suppressed other people's world records and scores
Yeah.
in order to keep certain people's world records and scores the top ones, i.e.
Interesting.
Billy Mitchell
Yeah.
and Todd Rogers.
Is there a financial reason to do that?
Well, there is if, say, Walter Day, the referee of Twin Galaxies,
Yeah.
and Billy Mitchell of King of Kong are
Yeah.
the owners of Twin Galaxies
Right.
and are looking
I
to
see.
sell the website.
And that's the grift, right?
Well, they want to have Billy Mitchell and I guess Todd Rogers because they're like quote unquote famous gamers to bring Twin Galaxies image as a brand higher up,
Right.
and then sell the company off for more money. You would be so surprised about how much of this has turned out to be fabricated
And calculated?
and calculated,
Right.
and how much apparently these guys are shit at video games as well.
Really?
Yeah. It's all, yeah, it's crazy. So we're going to get into Billy Mitchell and how he got caught. So there's something called MAME, which is an emulation software that lets you play an arcade game
Yeah, I think I've heard
on
of
something
that.
else. And it renders the game in loading screens differently than it renders the game in an original arcade software. So if you look at his footage in the tape with the million blahs, the points, and you look at it frame by frame, you see that it renders in exactly like an emulation and not like it could not have been performed on an original arcade.
And I want to say, cut this out if it's wrong.
Basically, Billy Mitchell's tape was found irrefutably to be not on an original arcade software.
Right.
It cannot have been on an original arcade machine, and therefore it was disqualified from Twin Galaxies, and it was disqualified from Guinness World Records.
Right, because it was run on an emulator.
Because it was run on an emulator, and so he has taken multiple positions saying, that tape isn't me. There is a tape with me getting that score, but that isn't the tape of me, and there are witnesses of me doing that score with this exact...
So why did he... Oh, wait, so what he's saying is he actually did it for real.
Yeah.
But then didn't film it.
That tape is there to frame him, is one of the things that he
But he claimed that the tape was real at the start.
Yeah. He's very inconsistent.
It's been swapped out.
Because he also defends the tape a lot. He goes a lot about...
Listen, this tape is real and it's good, but it's not mine.
Exactly.
Right. What a weirdo.
And one of the only witnesses who were there were two witnesses who can verify that he did the score. One of them was Todd Rogers.
The other guy that owns it?
No, the dragster guy who...
Oh, right, who cheated as well.
Who cheated and sucks.
Yeah.
And the other guy is Todd Rogers' girlfriend.
Right.
So, not the most reliable witnesses.
No.
Really. So, he gets stripped of all of his titles, poor Billy Mitchell, and has now become a disgraced gamer.
Right. God.
I know, what a life to live after that.
A disgraced gamer.
Do you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, maybe go and get a job outside of the restaurant that you've been managing called Dickie's, I think, where they make world famous hot sauce?
Right.
Ricky's, it is.
Ricky's, yeah.
No, what he does is he sues Guinness World Records for $1 million or whatever, and they immediately, just secede to his demands. And they give him back. They reinstate.
Really?
Yes, they reinstate his title because they don't want the lawsuit. After Billy Mitchell got reinstated in the Guinness Book of World Records by strong arm suing Guinness, Todd Rogers thought he would do the same thing. They have not reinstated Todd Rogers.
Right, he's more of a beta.
I think it might have something to do with the fact that in the lawsuit that he filed against them, he spelt his name Todd Todges.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it's for millions of dollars.
What happens if you misspell your name in court?
Well, it's just an error. I don't think they could. The thing is I just couldn't imagine a piece of paper being like, there's millions of dollars resting on this, and your own name.
Yeah.
And it's Todges as well. It's just
so
an extra.
funny. Yeah.
So I haven't really talked about Walter Day. So Walter Day is one of the owners of Twin Galaxies. Him and Billy Mitchell both own and run the company. And this is maybe going to get us sued because I don't know that much about this, but I've seen some general chit chat about
people are saying not in real life but in Minecraft
that maybe some people who resemble Walter Day and Billy Mitchell may have manipulated somebody with Alzheimer's into giving them the company. I mean, he was really old and dying, I'm pretty sure, and then Billy Mitchell had like a personal visit with him.
Right.
And now he owns the company. So yeah, there's no way for me to prove that Billy Mitchell took advantage of a guy with Alzheimer's to get his company, but there's no way for me to disprove that.
Allegedly. In Minecraft. In my dream when I was playing Minecraft.
So Walter Day always wears a stripy collared shirt like he's a referee in an old school boxing match. It's a black and white, stripy...
No.
So
he is a referee.
He is a referee, yeah.
Classic.
But I've never seen him not wear it,
perfect.
Everywhere.
Perfect.
I've never seen him in any other clothes. He goes to conferences, he's the guy, and he wears the referee outfit because he's the video game referee.
Do you reckon he gets pussy and it goes to
None of the people in
keep
this...
it on.
No, I don't think that he... The thing is that...
You're famous. People get fucking laid at Comic-Con, dude.
No, these people aren't famous in the same... they're famous to arcade game players. This is before Pixels made video games cool.
Thanks, Adam.
No, seriously, I was looking back at the footage in King of Kong and stuff, man.
Yeah.
I was looking back at the stuff in King of Kong, and what honestly struck me is all of the people in it all of them had to be outcasts to be who they were. They were all the kind of people who lived and breathed in arcade machines and they're not young guys a lot of the time. There's a whole bunch of middle-aged guys there, and I don't want to be mean or anything, but these are the super nerds. They're
it's not a recipe for lots of pussy, is it?
I feel to get the same experience, you would have to go and watch a Star Wars Armada game or like
What's that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You have no idea what that is?
No. Cool.
Is she Princess Armada?
Amidala. Oh, you've baited me. Okay, so Billy Mitchell actually was in an episode of Regular Show. So what happens in the episode of Regular Show is Mordecai and Rigby aren't getting respected by no one. An arcade machine gets brought into the place where Margaret works, and Mordecai wants to impress her and get the respect of everyone around him by becoming good at video gaming. Him and Rigby start playing the video game and like beating the other people who are there. And then once he achieves the world record, a giant floating head
I remember this, yeah.
beams into reality.
Yeah.
That looks like it's got the long hair and the beard, and like he throws a massive hissy fit and starts acting like a real bitch that someone's like taken his title, and then starts like cheating.
Right. And I'm imagining that guy was not too happy with that.
Well, yeah, so what happens is...
You, by the way, look identical to Mordecai.
What does that mean?
Mordecai's the bird one, right?
Yeah, what do you mean I look like him?
You just look exactly like him.
You look like
Just
Benson.
wanted the viewers to
No,
know.
sorry, Pops. That's his name. You look like
Which one,
Pops.
The
Look it up.
Yeah, Pops is the one with the candy in his head.
In his head?
Isn't he a big candy machine? Gumball machine?
No, that's Benson. No, Pops is...
Who the fuck is Pops? But I just wanted the listeners to be able to like have an image in their head when they listen to this.
With Mordecai.
You're Mordecai, yeah. Pops, Regular Show. How dare you? How dare you?
I think he dies.
What?
I know.
No.
I saw like a random thing about Pops dying in a Regular Show, and I was like, how could that happen?
Oh, I never clocked that he was a fucking lollipop.
He wasn't.
Yep, that's what it says.
Show me.
They were both born on the planet Lollyland.
But he doesn't look like a lollipop.
Pops appears to be a rich, thin, humanoid alien lollipop.
No, he's just
from
got a big
Lollyland.
head.
Well, argue with fucking hero.fandom.com, man.
Well, anyway, Mordecai and Rigby beat the giant floating head, and it literally explodes everywhere, and like goo goes all over when the episode ends. He sues Cartoon Network for defamation, and then...
It's clearly parody, though, right?
Yeah, so
They don't say that it's his name. Or do they?
No, they don't. And there's nothing actually that directly like links them at all, except for that he looks the same in the face, and that they're playing arcade games, and that he's a bitch about it. But I think it's funny to be like,
"That's me."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're being a bitch about it, just like I was.
Yeah.
So he tries to sue Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network clap back and actually destroy him.
Well, yeah, it's very.
And there's such a funny quote in the lawsuit, man. There's such a fucking funny quote where it says, it's like, "This is obviously parody law, for our character is a giant floating head and does not resemble the plaintiff, who is in fact a human."
Yeah.
And then there's another line that's like, "Unlike our plaintiff, when he lost his video game, our character literally exploded into goo."
Yeah. Well, it's like, how would you, in a world where the fucking Simpsons exist, how would you try and sue a cartoon in South Park? Like,
I think
parody law is so tight. Like, there's so much precedent that you're not going to win this.
I think he's used to people pussying out of lawsuits, like when Guinness did.
So you just swing a big number around.
Yeah, I think he might think like, but I don't know what they're going to do. Like, publicly apologize for the episode and be like, "We're sorry that we depicted you as a big crybaby."
Remove it from syndication.
But it's just like they've depicted him as being a big crybaby.
Yeah, giant bitch move.
Yeah, massive bitch move.
I'd love for this podcast to be unavailable.
Yeah. Well, dude, I haven't really brought this up, but every single person who covers this gets sent lawsuits.
I'd love it.
And I'm talking recently, my friends. As of recording this, about 2 weeks ago, like, there have been lawsuits issued by him.
What's his name?
Billy Mitchell.
Billy Mitchell
Is a loser.
For a fact.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
I'll believe that. No.
Oh. Okay, so one of the people that Billy Mitchell sues is the new owner of Twin Galaxies, Jace Hall. And the new owner of Twin Galaxies was sold Twin Galaxies, the website, by Walter Day and Billy Mitchell. Mm-hmm. He then finds out that these high scores are all fake.
Yeah.
And that damages the integrity of his business.
Yeah.
So he now has grounds to seek damages against Billy Mitchell and Walter Day.
Yeah, for sure. You were sold something under false pretense.
And there's a clause in their sale that there was no false information.
Does he remove them?
The new guy, he's very good at leaving a period of time for them to defend themselves, and he will say, like, we will give you the resources right now to, like, prove that this is even physically possible. Is he the guy
that did the spreadsheet stuff?
No, but he's been a massive, like, payer of people to do that. Like, he's this guy, because he knows that it's bullshit, has been a massive, like, I will pay you to prove that this is real.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about, I'm going to put a camera in front of your face and say, perform the world record. I'm talking about, I will dismantle that machine for everything I can to show you that, like, it doesn't work.
Sure.
Jace Hall is now suing Billy Mitchell.
Yeah.
For so much it comes out, because this lawsuit was the first one to make the allegations that this was all like an elaborate business ploy. Because this lawsuit has come out, Billy Mitchell and all of his information is now come out as well. They're going through all of it, and Twin Galaxies are not being bitches about this. They're asking in damages for the exact amount of money, which is the fake Pac-Man score that he submitted. I don't know if we went into the fact that the first ever Pac-Man score was fake as well. He was not the first ever person to achieve a Pac-Man
score.
A perfect score.
Damn.
And what happened is Walter Day, awarded Billy Mitchell with the Video Gamer of the Century award.
Oh, because
it's signed Walter Day.
Did he used to work here?
No.
Oh.
They went to the conference that Namco held and then said to them, hey, we're presenting an award for Video Gamer of the Century. It would be really good publicity if your president was the guy to hand the award over. Right. They got the photo op and then a plaque. And on the plaque, it's literally just acknowledging that he got a perfect run of Pac-Man. And then underneath it, it's an ad for the next Pac-Man game.
Right.
And they've never stated at all that he's Video Gamer of the Century, but they've used the fact that he's Video Gamer of the Century to market Twin Galaxies like so much.
Imagine being like the fake Video Gamer of the Century.
Yeah, for like Donkey Kong, bro. Like, it's crazy. And he will go and enter tournaments right now and come like ninth. He came dead last in a King Kong tournament that they held not that long ago.
Really?
He's not
even that good.
He's not even that good. So Billy Mitchell's flinging lawsuits around like nobody's fucking business. He's got like 7 lawsuits out there. Some of them against the former owners of Twin Galaxies. He's gone to just random... There are just like Donkey Kong forums where someone said, yeah, I did the maths and it's impossible. And he's just suing them. Just some guy who did a forum post.
Really? Maybe he will fucking sue us.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I think that everyone's kind of piling on a little bit now. So he couldn't possibly sue as many people as are saying that he's a liar at this point.
A, we've got a very small audience. And B...
No, but Billy Mitchell literally does nothing but Google himself all day, man.
So he's listening. He's definitely listening.
We've called this show Grifter of the Week, and it's a long episode, and his name's in it. Billy, I bet you're listening to this right now.
Billy, what did you think about my segment? If you thought that was good, send me a DM.
Yeah.
And then I suppose you can send Kaleb your opinions, legal or non-legal, on this segment. That is not mine, but is Kaleb's segment.
So we get into some sort of darker territory again. One of the YouTubers that he's thrown a lawsuit at in an attempt to sort of silence any truth about his cheating in the past, like a big bully. One of the YouTubers was sort of suffering very severe physical and mental health problems at the time that this multi-million-dollar lawsuit was issued. And then he commits suicide.
So he's killed someone.
Well, is that what you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Because a YouTuber made that claim, and then Billy Mitchell has responded to that, and that's what I'm going to play for you guys.
Yeah, there's the cable.
Greetings to everyone who took the time to click on this video. I'm Billy Mitchell, and welcome to my channel. In fact, many of you may find it hard to believe that I'm here, because I almost never upload to YouTube for any reason. However, I wanted to formally respond to recent accusations that Carl Jobs made of me related to Apollo Legend. May 26th, Jobs released a video downright loaded with false, defamatory statements. The most heinous accusation related to Apollo's passing. In the video, Jobs outright states that I drove Apollo to suicide. In his words, he may as well have just said murder. For those of you who haven't seen it, here's the clip.
He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life.
What do you think about that phrasing? Do you think that's careful enough?
I think that's much more careful than I am being.
Care though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought.
Do you want to read this out? Do you want to pause that and read that out?
Yeah, let me go back. My wife found online Apollo Legend is dead, no joke, and that's from Billy Mitchell. Someone says, what? OMG. Billy Mitchell replies, and these are alleged screenshots, but come on.
Yeah.
If it is true, I will not shed a tear. I will try my very hardest not to smile or giggle.
So we don't know for 100% that that's a verifiable screenshot.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are treating it as though it is. And Billy Mitchell talks like that and is a fucking sad, lonely loser man.
What a bitch, dude.
Yeah, this is all
I'll come out and
because
say that.
his Donkey Kong score
Yeah.
was fake. There's a leaked phone call with him and a friend who's testified in sworn oath in court that it's him.
Yeah.
Where he says, I've got a plan to drop off a new tape and claim that it is the new original tape that we're going to make. There's
What a
so many
fucking
provable
loser,
lies.
dude.
And he just literally forces lawsuits against people who can't afford them like a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And it's all to protect his lineage as the
The
best
Donkey Kong.
player.
Yeah, what a fucking loser, dude. Is that the end of his tale? Has he got any more fucking shenanigans?
It's the end of the tale in the sense that, like, as of right now,
That's where we're standing.
Twin Galaxies are suing him for
Yeah.
millions of dollars worth of fraud.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a massive lawsuit, and I don't know when it's going to happen.
Right.
Now, Carl is being sued by Billy Mitchell even more for the
Right.
claim of the murder about Apollo's
Now,
death.
before I hitch my fucking wagon, what's your take on Carl?
Here's my take on Carl. Carl, if you're listening to this, you covered it all in a really concise way. You've done a lot of your research, and like I think it's cool that you're being like principled about this. I do think it's weird that you like accuse a man, even though I think that you're right, of like being an accomplice in suicide or complicit in suicide or whatever. But in the video, like, there's also a bit where he's like, do you struggle to listen to things? Ray-Con earbuds will sort you
Yeah.
out. Like, I just think that's a little bit weird. Like, I think if you're going to cover something like that,
That's tough,
and you're
yeah.
going to if you're going to do a video where you call someone out about someone else's suicide, you shouldn't monetize it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
That is tough. I say I probably don't agree with that.
I would say
I agree with you. I don't agree with
putting
the act of doing
YouTube,
that.
dude, putting YouTube ads like that that people ordinarily expect when they watch news is one thing.
Yeah.
Putting your own like sponsored
content. Yeah.
to like break up the monotony of your like suicide episode is
That
a
is
little
a
bit weird.
bit strange. Yeah.
So Grifter of the Week was brought to you today by
By
the Holocaust,
by,
I
I
guess.
guess a heavy content warning at the
By
start.
Jack Black. Okay, well, we're supposed to rank these fuckers, aren't we?
Yeah, that's really hard to do.
No, it's not.
Well,
You've got the only like neutral grifter so far.
should we put him at number one?
So I think he's the least bad that we've had.
Well, yeah. So are we ranking these?
He hasn't
these aren't-
raped
this
anyone.
is not that we know of. This is not a list of famous grifters that we've ranked by how much we like them, though. We're trying to find the biggest grifter.
He did the least damage.
Hey, the scope is pretty crazy. The scope might be bigger than this guy. In the
It
whole
definitely is.
$50 million worth of art fraud. He's the biggest art forger, most prolific and famous that we know of in history, I think. I'm pretty certain of that.
How would you rank him against Stanley?
The guy's name was Alan, not Stanley. And I don't want people to accidentally think that Stanley
And we had Kevin Trudeau, who was just
Yeah, Kevin Trudeau was stopping people from taking their medicine, though.
well, yeah, he's also quite a lot bigger
and heaps
than
of money.
yeah. Billy Mitchell was like famous in a sense, but he doesn't have a community like
You know what?
that's as large.
Now that you've put it like that, I kind of want to put Elmyr at number one.
Well, actually, I was having a fat whinge in one of the episodes that we might not air about how
Yeah.
I don't want to reward people
Yeah.
if they suck.
I think Elmyr...
and this guy has
yeah.
at least done something cool.
Yeah.
So we go Elmyr, Kevin. I don't remember Stanley Kubrick's original name.
It wasn't Stanley Kubrick. It was Alan Conway.
Conway.
His grift was to pretend to be Stanley Kubrick.
And then down at the very filthy, dirty bottom
Yeah.
is Billy Mitchell and his dirty, filthy friends.
I want him to once again find himself at the bottom of a leaderboard. And if he wants to get to the top, maybe he can fucking send us a tape.
Well, the thing is as well to consider is that everyone else on the list, it took like skill to achieve their grift, or like at least like creativity.
Yeah, this guy
or
just
whatever.
fucking cheated, and that's
He
it.
cheated in a
No,
video
you're
game,
right, dude.
and then
You're
has
right.
been the worst liar about
his
it.
grift, the actual grift, is just cheating in fucking Donkey Kong.
To
right?
sell a website.
I've cheated in fucking Donkey Kong.
Yeah, but
alright?
you've not done it with the mastermind play of inflating the value of a website that you're about to sell.
That grift, the grift itself is not as impressive as anyone else.
Dude, imagine
and the fucking fallout of like him just being a shit cunt for the rest of it is like not actually a grift. Like suing people isn't a grift.
I need to show you a photo.
All right.
Look at his smug face.
I'm gonna start top to bottom, then I'm gonna go left to right.
Okay.
Haircut, dog shit. Tie, super fucking lame. Stance, too wide. Too fucking wide, dude.
Yeah.
Close it up and put your hand down. This isn't the end of The Shining, my guy.
Right.
All of the like Asian women that they've dressed up like cheerleaders to give him this video game of the century. I hope you're all well. I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
They may have been like massive Donkey Kong and Pac-Man fans, for all you know.
Yeah, but if
They're stoked to meet the video gamer of the century. He just performed a
they
perfect
like to
Pac-Man run.
dress up in uniform and have the same haircut and be objects for this guy.
Guess you're right. Guess you're right.
All right. Well, we've got our ranking, and what a cheerful to start a comedy podcast with the Holocaust,
Yeah, we both picked.
and to end with suicide on both counts
yeah,
is
we'll pick something better.
Yeah, next time I'll pick.
Someone grifted somebody. They thought that they were being sold a kitten, but it was actually an adorable puppy.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.